So welcome to lesson 9. This is typographical design. Photoshop's not really meant to do a lot of typographical stuff, but in a pinch you can do it, especially if that's what you're comfortable with. Generally InDesign or even Illustrator are a lot better for that. So go ahead and download the files. And I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and it'll be lesson9.zip. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about typographic design using a digital image that we created last week of the woman running on the beach, where we created a different background with a fading shadow. We also used puppet warp on her head and neck. In this lesson, you'll take the image from last week and you'll make it into a magazine cover. You're going to learn the following. You're going to use guides to position text in composition. You're going to make a clipping mask, merge type with other layers, preview fonts, format text and use effects on them, type along a path, and control type and positioning using advanced features. So again, I'm gonna right click on lesson 9 and I'm going to extract all, and I'm going to extract it right into the same folder. So then I'm going to go to the lesson 8 folder, and I'm going to find the lesson 8 _ complete.psd, which is the Photoshop file, and I'm going to drag that right into my lesson 9 folder. So when I click on the lesson 9, then it should be in there. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to open it in Bridge just to show you. So you should have 4 files. You should have the one you worked on last week, the runner's logo, a bunch of shoes, and then a text file for the headlines that we're going to use. Let's open the runner image. You can double click on it or just right click and open with Photoshop. And you'll notice all your layers from last week are still there. So I'm going to go back to Bridge. And I'm going to right click on the Runner's World logo, and I'm going to open it in Photoshop as well. So we're going to take this logo and we're going to make a mask from it, and then we're going to knock out the white and put a different background in the actual words themselves with a clipping mask. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to erase some of the parts that are important in this lesson. We're going to click on the eraser tool and erase the date and a trademark on the bottom. So here's the eraser tool here. And my eraser tool is very small, so I'm going to use the bracket keys and make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And I'm going to erase this trademark over here. So now we're going to select the magic wand tool. Just make sure it's the magic wand tool, not the quick selection tool. Select that. And we're going to click on the black areas of the letters. So holding the shift key down, I'm going to click the R, U, N, N, E, R, S, an apostrophe, and then I'm going to click on the world. And I'm going to click inside the O, inside the R, and inside the D. So now with everything selected, we're going to now make a mask of it. So we're going to click on the mask tool, and then you have the white is all gone. Then we're going to click on the layer, click and hold it, and we're going to drag it up to the runner photo, and then we're going to bring it back down, all while holding the mouse key, and then we're going to release. Then you just use the move tool, and we will move it into the right place. Then we'll double click on the layer name, and we're going to rename it Runner's World logo. And make sure that it's the topmost layer. So let's go back to Bridge now. And we're going to double click on the running shoes. Again, we'll drag this from the layer panel to the runner, and we'll drop it right on the logo. Covering it. And we're going to change the name of that layer as well, called Shoes Fill. It doesn't make sense until in the next couple steps. We're going to right click on it and create a clipping mask. So as long as the shoes are above the running logo, it'll work. So right click and create a clipping mask, and then the shoes become the fill for the Runner's World logo. So now it can be hard to read, so let's move the shoes around with the move tool so that it's easier to see. And we'll also adjust the opacity of the shoes layer to about 89%. So this will just simply make it 89%. And then we can use the move tool, and we'll just move it around until you get it kind of where it looks pretty good. And I'm looking at this part right here, the word world, just because it'll be easier to see that. So it's still a little bit hard to read, so let's add some effects to this. So we're going to click on the Runner's World logo layer, and we'll click on Effects. And we're going to go to Outer Glow. And here this menu will open up, and we're going to change some settings. So blend mode, we're going to make it normal. Opacity is going to be 100. Noise, I'm going to make it 10. The color, I'm going to make it black. Technique is going to be precise. The spread is going to be 25. Size, make it 12. And range is 50%, and jitter is 0. And once you're done, you just hit OK. So I still think it's a little bit hard to read, so I'm going to go ahead and click back on the shoe layer, and I'm going to move so that I can see the word world a little bit better. There. That looks a little bit better to me. So now we're going to zoom in on this so we can see it a little bit better. Now, if your rulers are not showing, which like mine are not, on a PC, hit Control R. On a Mac, hit Command R. And here the rulers will pop up. And you see that your photo is a little over 1700 pixels wide here. So note if your ruler is not showing pixels, just go to the Photoshop menu, down to Preferences, to Rulers and Units, and change rulers to pixels and type the points. So on a PC, under Edit, down to Preferences, and you can select units and rulers and pixels and points. So we're going to click and hold on this ruler here. So we can click and hold, and then I'm going to pull over, and that'll bring a guide. And we're going to bring the guide to about the 850 mark here. So that kind of gives us about the center of the image. And we're also going to pull it again to about the 50 mark, and this will give you a nice margin to start some of your headlines. So now we'll go back to Bridge, and I'm going to double click on the text for lesson, and it'll open up in Notepad. We're going to copy the very first line. And then we're going to go into Photoshop, and we're going to click on the layer below the running world logo layer. So in my case, it's the headphones wire. And when we click on this, what it's going to do is when we use our next tool, which is the horizontal type tool, wherever we click, it's going to put a layer above this. We're going to click on the horizontal type tool. And then I'm going to click in front of our face, and I'm going to paste in the line. Get fit fast. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go under Window to Character. This will open up the Character panel. If we double click on the thumbnail, it'll highlight the text. So when we make our changes in the character panel here, it'll automatically apply them to this text. So I'm going to click on Arial. And I'm going to select Bold Italic. Size is going to be 120. In color is going to be D80404. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to click here and make it on 2 different lines. And then I'm going to take the move tool, and I'm going to move it. So I'm going to go back to the text file, and I'm going to highlight the second line. And I'll copy it. I'll go back to Photoshop. Click on the horizontal type tool down below it. And I'm going to paste it there. Again, I'm going to double click on the T icon on the layer. It'll highlight it, and I'm going to change this as well. So I'm going to change this to Helvetica. And it's going to be bold. I'm going to make this size 48. And I'm going to set the leading to 48 as well. And then I'm going to make this color black. So then, because this is going all the way across, again, I'm going to put some returns in here. And one quick note, when you're using leading, a good start for leading is the equal size to the font. So I'm using a 48 point font. I'm going to use 48 point leading. You can adjust it from there, but usually you want it fairly close to this. In fact, I don't like the leading here, so I'm going to actually adjust that now that I see that. And simply double click on here. And it's set to auto, so I'm going to set it to 120 and see what it looks like. I still think it's a little bit on the airy side. I feel that looks a little bit better. So let's go back to the text document again. And we'll highlight how running keeps your brain young. Go back to Photoshop, paste it in below that. I'll double click on the T, and let's change this. So let's find a font here. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm just going to select Arial. And I'll go a bold italic on that one as well. Let's make the size 60. And then we'll make the leading as 60 as well. And then the color, let's go 0 C4 C80, which is a darker blue. And then we'll hit OK. And let's put some returns in there. Let's go back to the text document. We'll copy 14 must try spring races. And then we'll paste it in down here. And this time let's put the returns in first. We'll double click on the T here. And I'm going to use a specific font. I'm going to use Myriad Pro. Style is just going to be regular. Size, I'm going to make it 94. And then the leading, I'm going to make the leading 90. And then the color, let's make it a green. So 04710A. Again, then let's go back to the text file. We're going to copy the next line. And we'll paste it there. So we'll double click on the T icon. I'm going to type in marker and I'll pull a marker font. Again, it can be a different font. It doesn't have to be exact. I might have different fonts than you. I'm just trying to pull a couple different varieties, obviously. I'm going to make the size 100. The leading 90 is good. And then we're going to do something different on the color. So I'm going to click on the color, and then I'm going to get the color from her pants. And clone that, and then hit OK. And then that will be the color of her pants. Let's go back to the text file again. And highlight the 27 unlikely runner foods. I'll scroll to the bottom here. Now sometimes it's tricky because it doesn't necessarily want to always click off of there. So I'm going to go to the Move tool quick and then go back to the Horizontal Type tool. And then I'm going to select the area I want to dump this in. Then I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to put some returns in here because I want it to be kind of a stepped so that it has a short first line, a longer second line, and then a short third line. So I'm going to double click on the T. And again, we'll make the font Arial. This time we're going to use Arial Black, which is a little bit thicker. And we'll make the size 91. And the font, the leading can be 90. And then the color, I want to make it a yellow. So I'm going to do D8, E5, 02. And I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to see, it looks pretty decent there. Now I'm going to highlight this last line because I want it to be a little bit smaller. So we're going to change the size here to 68. And the leading to 68 as well. So now I'm going to pull back and look at the whole thing. So I think the Get Fit Fast is not bold enough and doesn't grab your attention because it's the main line. So we'll fix that. But I'm going to actually make sure these are all lined up a little bit better. So I'm just going to click on them and make sure that they're all lined up to the lines. Looks a little bit better. So I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can see the. So I'm going to click on the Get Fit Fast layer. Just clicking on it once. And then I'm going to hit the effects. And we're going to go to stroke. So again, the dialog box opens. And I'm going to set a couple different things. I'm going to set my size to 5. I'm going to position to the outside. So the stroke will go to the outside and not to the inside, making it thicker. Opacity is 100%, and I'll make sure that its color is black. And I'll hit OK. And I think it looks a lot better right there. So now I feel like the plan for maximum gains in minimum time needs a little bit more. So I'm going to click and hold on the Alt key on the Mac. You use the Option key. And we're going to drag the FX right over to the plan. And you'll see it adds it to that word. Now, it's way, way, way over the top. So this is what they call a subhead. It's a supporting head to the headline here. And so it needed a little bit more, but it's just way over the top now. So we're going to just simply double click on the FX for that one. And we're going to click on stroke. We're going to change the size back to 1, which was the default. And the opacity, we're going to make it 50%. So it'll make it perceive like it's not as thick. And we wanted to match the color because the color of the text is black. Just so you're done with that, simply hit OK. Now that looks a little bit better. Now I'm going to move this back up here a little bit more because this is a subhead for that one, so they should really go together. So that's starting to look a whole lot better. So let's add a stroke to 27 Unlikely Runner Superfoods because it's yellow and it tends to get a little bit lost. So again, we'll go to the Get Fit Fast. I'll push the Alt key on the PC, Option key on the Mac, and we'll click and drag the FX right to the 27 Unlikely. And the effect is copied to that. And it looks quite a bit better. So the other one that I feel like it needs a little bit of help is the 14 must-try spring races. So again, click the Alt key, Option key on the Mac, and we'll drag it right to the 14 must-try. Let's do the same thing for how running keeps your brain young. Again, Alt key on the PC, Option key on the Mac. Drag it to there. This one looks a little bit crowded, so we're going to double click on the FX. And then we'll change the size. And then we'll just adjust it and see how it looks. Put it in part way between the top and the bottom. There. And then the last one we'll do again is we'll hit the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, and we'll drag it to Running Your Worries Away. Again, we'll double click on the FX on Running Your Worries Away. Click on the stroke, and we'll make that one 2 as well. Well, let's make it 3. So now we're going to take some text and we're going to paste it along a path. So we're going to go to the text, copy the very last line, and then we're going to select the pen tool, which is the P key. And I'm going to click here above the last letter of the headline here, and I'm going to click. And I'm going to click kind of near the top of her head and hold, and I'm going to slowly make a curve, and then I'm going to try to click over here so that it completes the curve. Then I'm going to select the horizontal type tool. And when you get close to the path, it's going to make a squiggly line like this, which means you're going to paste along the path. So I'm going to paste right here. And then I'm going to paste the headline. I'm going to then go back to the layer panel and double click on the T because I want to highlight this. And I'm going to change the font to be Arial. And I'm going to make it 70-point type. And I'm going to double click on the color. And I'm going to select the same color as the green over here. And then click OK. And then if I click off of it, you can see here it is up here. Now it looks a little bit on the faint side. So again, we'll go to the effects from the Get Fit Fast. We'll hit the Alt key, Option key on the Mac, and we'll drag it up to the 10 most beautiful trail runs and drop it on there. And then again, that's really, really quite dark. So let's double click on the effects. Click on the stroke, and we'll make it 3. So then we'll just hit OK. And it's starting to look a lot better. Now it looks a little bit more like a magazine. So then we're going to go ahead and save this file, save as, save it on your computer, save a copy, and we'll go ahead and make it a JPEG. And we're going to call it Lesson 9 Complete. And then we'll save it right back in 9 and go ahead and turn this lesson in. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Again, this one wasn't really difficult. Just working with fonts and working with different effects and then pasting along a path. So I hope to talk to you in the discussions and have a great week.